compounding interest or compounding growth is what really underpins my view, any sort of strategy that you should look at. And what it means in basic terms is that, and using Tony's example, you have a property worth X today, it grows by a percentage in year 1, for example. The following year, it's growing by that same percentage again, with that growth already on top of that value. So you end up with this very sort of steep curve over time. So you probably hear people quoting, property doubles in 7 or 10 years, right? Regular thing that we hear. That's how it occurs. And we'll work through some numbers on how that actually works and compare it to superannuation, what you would have to do to put away enough money from a particular point in time to achieve your retirement goals versus something like this where you've got 1 or 2 assets actually compounding at a fairly heavy rate. So the key here is also the asset that you have purchased or invested in, because it is worth 300, 400, 500,000, whatever the number is, that thing is compounding in growth over time, as opposed to you trying to put a small amount of money into super or into a savings account off to the side. There's a big difference there. Just on that point, you want to pick my brain on property investing. I do have a portfolio, have done it for 12 or 13 years now, love the space and very passionate about, so happy to share those stories as we go. So $100 a week, the reason why I picked that number, and Tony talked about $80 I think was quoted, $2, etc., again specific to your circumstances. The $100 a week mark, there's a little bit of science behind it, and the science is clients, if you look at it again, a cross section of who we've got and what we've done over the years, that's kind of the number that seems to pop up more often than others, okay, in terms of what clients possibly need to put aside per week to get into something significant in terms of a investment property and getting that compounding effect. Can be a lot less than that, as Tony explained, in terms of perhaps $2 a week or even being positive in terms of the net cash flow at the end of the day. What this shows, however, is, and don't worry about the fine print in here, and again, this stuff's information's available if you want it. If I was to put $100 a week away, and my interest was calculated monthly in terms of a term deposit or something out there at a modest 4%, you can play with the numbers for 10 years, I end up with about 63 grand sitting in there, right? I've earned something like 11 grand's worth of interest, all right, if I'm just putting that money away. So part of tonight is to show you, if you put the same sort of dollars into a property investment strategy, as an example, what that has in terms of outcome. So as an example of that, and Tony's covered it, don't worry about the numbers on that side, the property value, if you start off with something, say, in the 400s, at a modest 5% growth, so Tony talked about Gisborne being 7, if you average that for the last X amount of years. We work on modest numbers that are typically sort of 3 to 5%, be conservative. By the time you get to year 10, there's about $180,000 of equity sitting in that property, right? And all you've done is contributed the same amount of money to that transaction, being the $100 as an example. Okay, everyone understand that? Yeah? A lot of nod.